Okay, hey, it's Narrative Tarot. So I'm gonna do like a VR to something like 10 months ago. But yeah, it's Narrative Tarot. Comment, like, subscribe. I don't know the regular spiel. I do like a bunch of readings, discussions, book clubs, things like that. So if you're interested, definitely subscribe. All that other stuff. I don't know, like getting lazy and lazier with it. But yeah, so I'm gonna do a VR, and it's actually one that probably people would want to actually know. But it's the Reader I Am tag. I'm looking at the questions and stuff over here. I think it was started by James Feeney. You can go to his channel to kind of get a feel for it, but I have the questions over here, so that's why I'm looking. So it's a series of questions basically to, I guess, challenge you to explain how you read, and it actually would get people more acquainted with your style. So since I am a tarot reader on here, I do readings and stuff like that. I figure I might as well just answer these questions just in case people are curious about it, and so I like this tag, so I'm going to use it. So the questions. The first one is, what is the primary system of divination you use? So, as far as divination as a whole, I am just like using tarot cards. So I guess it may fall under cartomancy. I don't know which ones are out or which ones are in, but just cards. So tarot cards. The primary system that I use would be Rider Waite, and then Marseille, but not really either that are traditional, like the traditional ones, the original ones. I kind of use decks that follow those two systems though. So more Pippish with Marseille, and then like the Rider Waite system where it has the major and minor arcana, things like that. Uh, those are the two that I generally use. I have some like Thoth-ish kind of ones. So I have a pocket-sized Thoth deck, and then I have, I think it's the Zillick Tarot. I think that follows it, and I think the Mary L follows it as well. Tarot of Light, I believe, as well, but I'm not really too acquainted. I think I started watching people who use Rider Waite, and so naturally the first decks that I got kind of fall into that system. Um, yeah, there's nothing really like, oh my god, the reason why I chose it is just the one that I started with, essentially. So, yeah. Who do you read for? I try not to read for myself. If I do read for myself, it's very simple yes or no, or yeah, it's generally like yes or no. I find for myself, because of aspects in my chart that I know of, that I'm aware of, that I would rather not read for myself. And the readings I do for myself generally are just, sometimes I ask questions, but most of the time I just try to do reflection. So just try to reflect on the information that the card is giving me. So non question specific, whatever comes up is what comes up, and I use that. So I try to journal every day as well, and that gets my thoughts out, and then I put on my altar different cards and just kind of reflect on that. Not too long though. I'm not that introspective. I don't need like 30 minutes to do introspective, but it takes 30 minutes to get the cards out and things like that. But I'm not going to sit there forever and do it. So the whole process may take 30 minutes, but the reflection part generally is a few minutes at that. So I'm not like a deep diver in that way. When I want to meditate, I'll meditate. When I want to journal, I'll journal. But I definitely try not to read for myself I don't know, like serious inquiries. That who else do I read for? I read for my friends, and acquaintances, associates, things like that. I've done a few readings. I don't do professional readings. I do have a Fiverr, but I'm kind of just like not engaged with that right now. I'd rather just kind of do it for the people that are kind of close to me. And then I also do readings for general public on YouTube under my channel, Narrative Tarot. So, yeah, there's that. What types of readings do you normally do? Topic, spreads, time, medium. So I don't read by zodiac, and the reason is that I kind of not necessarily decided to be an astrologer, but I'm fascinated in astrology and those different aspects and how we are feeling those aspects play out in our physical bodies and our physical realities. So I'm more interested in stuff like that. So that's kind of why I don't do zodiacs. What I do are planet readings. So I read by planet for monthlies, and that is basically for people who have knowledge of their birth chart enough to where they would know what planets are aspecting them, in such a way that they would feel it, or what planets in their natal chart are prominent, energies are prominent, lessons are prominent, right? I think each planet, in my opinion, brings a series of lessons that you need to learn, and depending on which planet you have that's kind of more aspected or more prominent, those are the, that'll determine kind of the lessons that you have to learn. So that's how I read. I read like that. Other readings that I do on the fly, I do a redemption reading. So it's for people who may feel like they've done certain things in their life they can't escape, shame, stuff like that. Lower chakra work. So I do those, and then there's some more readings that I'm instituting and things like that. But generally, I'm very focused on things that aspect your chart and heads up and discussions and food for thought more than anything. So, what is your reading style? Analytic, intuitive, spiritual, predictive, or fortune? I'm not really predictive. I guess I could be spiritual, but I'm not really a student of any particular like philosophy or anything like that. I'm pretty open, and so for me, I'm not really pulling at, Vedic astrology or anything like that, or even Western astrology. In that I have this deep knowledge of it. I'm very much on the intuitive side of things, even down to card readings. Like, yeah, I've watched people do readings and I've looked up the card meanings and stuff like that, but I'm not so fixed in it has to mean that. I just think that when the card comes out, the message that needs to come through is going to come through that card, whether or not it uses the symbols and stuff like that. It's just, it needs a card, it needs a physical space to come through, and then it needs the one that most aligns with it. So if the High Priestess is the card that most aligns with the message that has to come through, then that's the card that's going to come through. That's how I see it. So I'm not really into book meanings. I think they're helpful. I know that people say you should have a good grounding and understanding, but I think sometimes the messages don't reflect what's on the card. It's just the most aligned card for what they want to say, and that's what comes out. And so intuition for me is a little better. But I have started to think more about studying symbols, icons, colors, composition, things like that. And maybe that'll give me a broader perspective on what's going on. But for right now, I kind of feel like, it works for me. And I think also I don't know, I feel like sometimes you get boxed in by book interpretation sometimes. What types of readings do you conduct? So I definitely would be more reflective. A lot of my readings are more food for thought, uh, more of a narrative style, and so I'm not really a coaching or empowering. Um, Maybe evaluating the situation, but definitely more reflecting on what's going on. If there's any advice that can come through, then definitely I'll say that. But it's laying out the narrative and then just a little general advice. So it's not too not too extensive with that. I think I would like to get more into the coaching and empowering, but my personality isn't such that I would really do it. Like, I think for people who are coaching and empowering, they're a lot louder, they're a lot more, not in your face, but I think a lot more ready to engage. It's not like the dynamic with me is kind of just reading cards and saying it and leaving it open ended. I think those two would be more like really reaching out, grabbing your hand, taking you, walking you along the path. Versus me, I'm just kind of like, if you're walking on the path and you see me, we engage, and then you go on your way and I go on my way, and that's kind of how it works. So what is your ideal reading atmosphere? Not this. I think it would be outside, but I know that it would be outside on a really nice sunny day. But the thing with that is like doing readings outside, you have to account for like tripod, you have to account for like if there's any wind, so sound, having a good mic. The cards may be blowing everywhere, so I kind of think that it's ideal to be outside. Like, I would want to be outside to do this. I would want to be doing it in the daylight, but like daylight outside, but like it would have to be, it's very weather dependent. So because of that, it probably would be harder to achieve like my ideal. My next idea would be in a room specifically for it. Right now I'm in like the kitchen. I don't really want to do them in my room. Just, I don't know, like I'm in my room like most of the time, so I come here and do it. It's like here or my room. I probably will have to like make the basement that space, but it's just a few things I would have to set up, like a tapestry, a really nice table, a really nice tripod setup. So the ideal would be outside, but that's weather dependent. And then my second runner-up would be, or the runner-up would be, in a space that's specifically devoted to that kind of stuff. Because not only am I interested in reading tarot, I'm interested in sound meditation as well. And so a place for storage, a place where I can play it, a place where I could be not disturbed would be fantastic. Reversals, jumpers, shuffling style. So I read reversals as they come up, but I try not to keep my deck where there's reversals and uprights. I just for me, it's not really anything specific. I will take reversals as I see. If it feels like it needs to be reversed, I feel like it doesn't matter if it's reversed or not. You can pick that up. Jumpers, I take a lot of jumpers. Not where it's like 5 or 6, but generally a lot of my decks are very chatty, and so they do jump like a lot. Shuffling style. I can't riffle shuffle. I wish I was talented at that. So it's just kind of like let's see. So I'll just shuffle like this. that's it. Like, yeah, like this, like that. This way is when the cards are really long and quite large. But yeah, that's how I do it. What is your delivery tone? Constructive, positive, reflective, action oriented? Again, more reflective. I'm really, I feel like this is more of me in general, that I'm not very like I am pushy as a person. If you get to know me, like, I'm pushy and I get very excited and I'm very excitable. But I get excited. I get excited on my own, but then, like, if I'm having a conversation, I can be very enthralled. But I think in tarot, for me, not that I need to, like, step back and try to be as objective as possible. That's not only the thing, but it's just kind of like, I just want the message that needs to come through, and I don't want to, like, mess with that, you know? And I'm not going to try and put on an air of, like, yeah, like, I'm really excited when I'm not, or I'm really cheerful when I'm not. Like, if it's just, I'm a neutral that day, I'm neutral. And yeah, because I know, like, a lot of people on here, I think, may feel like they need to be very enthused and just very, like, outwardly project. I don't know. It's very weird to me, particularly if you're not that kind of person. So for me, I'm not that kind of person, so I try not to be, because I find that, I think, one, it would come off as inauthentic and people could pick that up. But then two, I think that would be exhausting for me to keep up. So, and then lastly, what are some of your personal reading quirks? Correspondence example, correspondences you tend to draw on, habits you have, little details that you use alone and have. So quirks, not too many, because I don't have extended rituals. I'm not really in any community as far as practitioner work. So besides the altar work that I do where I pick cards for the day, there's not much that I do to prepare for reading. Breathing in, breathing out, maybe listening to some good music, maybe doing some sage, things like that. But I'm not really, not too deep in anything like that. I do try to read when no one is up and no one is around, just because I live with other people and I don't want those sound disturbances in the video, and I don't want to have to pause the video too much. So I try to do that. And then correspondences I tend to draw on. No. I will say, when it comes to decks, because I do by planet, I actually categorize my decks by planet as well. Sometimes aspect, but mostly planet. So if I'm doing a particular monthly reading for a planet, I will decide which of those decks that correspond with that planet I will use. And that actually is very helpful, because I know people have really large collections of decks and they, like, never use them. And so I find that the way that I've done this actually is a benefit, because I'm actually using pretty much all of my decks on a consistent basis. And that's really helpful, because I do want to acquire more decks, just because I feel like some of the planets I may have deficiencies in, and I just generally like a lot of decks. So I like deck art, I like all of that stuff. If it inspires anything in me, I want to have it, but it's purely on a visual basis, not necessarily like it's something I want to acquire to necessarily learn about. It's just I like the visuals, and I like what the visuals are telling me. I like the messages that I'm getting, so that's why I want to acquire them. But having designations for your tarot decks like that is really helpful. So I get to use a lot of them. I get to interact with them. I get to know them a lot more, and it just builds a relationship with my decks that I like. So, yeah. All right, so this is the reader that I am. If you are interested in narrative tarot as far as watching readings and stuff like that, stay tuned. I do them every month, and I actually will be coming up with a few readings this week. One for Pisces season, just to talk about the energies for that, and then I'll be kicking off the monthlies for March 2021 with the planets. And there's a few other readings that I have, a few other discussions, and I'll actually be wrapping the month up with a book club reading that I've done. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.